And I said, okay, well, I started thinking divorce. And I said, well, the two main things is like probably sex or infidelity and finances. So she says to me, when I asked her the question, and she said, yeah, but it's not all about finances, it's about feelings. And I say, well, tell you what, since you're going to talk about feelings, I say, any man that cannot provide for you financially, he won't be able to stimulate you mentally and arouse you sexually. So you need some finances. So we so so we laughed it off. Excuse my language, but what I would like to say, I would say that man is not going to make her coochie tingle. So I just don't get it. So we start talking about finance, and I'm thinking like, well, you know what? There's this thing that you see around, online about, women want a man with a lot of money. They don't know what people have to do to get this amount of money. Just like me, for example, I could say, I don't want to tell people my business and whatever, but let's say even for me, I've made over $200,000, right, for the last 2-3 years or so, probably 2.5, 3 years. I would say three, at least about 3. I'll have to go back to year 3, but at least I know the last 2. But you have to think about the amount of taxes paid, the lifestyle, travel thing, and it's like, okay, once you do that, it's like, because the average American, to live a healthy lifestyle and to have a little bit of freedom, you need to be making over 150 to even feel comfortable, because you have so much bills to pay per month. It's like as soon as the money come in, it's like and the other thing is, I noticed, like, even in, basically what I'm saying is, a lot of women may need to get offline, get off social media. I know they got this thing around, it's almost like most people are on their cell phones. You're not paying attention and listening to your partner whenever you're at the dinner table, or just out with each other. You're more in tune with going on these social media platforms. And like, I noticed, like, when we get back to finances, like, I've met some men in Dubai, and I've met Uber drivers. So in Dubai, you have you could use the taxi Uber. I don't know why people would rent cars, get rental cars, but it's cheaper to use the taxi. You can just tell them to just make sure you get a receipt and tell them to start the meter. But in the taxis and inside the Uber, I'm talking to these guys, and a lot of these guys, they've told me that with them, they only make, and some of the guys at the hotel, so they were telling me that, guys from Africa, Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, were telling me that they're not supposed to be telling me this, but they only make $400 a month. I think I was somewhere in, like, where was I? Well, yeah, so the guys was basically telling me that in Dubai, some of those guys, they make $400 a month, and it's like 6-7 people staying together. And even a young lady out there at a restaurant I went to, she was telling me, from Africa, she was saying how they're in Dubai, they love it. These people love it, but they're staying with 6-7 people in the house because they really can't afford it. And just like, I remember I was on my way to the UK. When I was on my way to the UK, this gentleman that I was on the plane with, sitting right next to me, we were talking about some things, and he was telling me he just had got back from a wedding from Sri Lanka, and he was telling me how the people out there, like, one guy he was talking to was like, hey, I only make $40 a month, and this is what, like, even when I was out of town, like, about, what was that, 4 weeks ago now, I was in Africa, and so many people was asking me for money, and I gave, but then I was like, if they only knew that, yes, my money it goes further here, but when I get back home in the U.S., it's expensive. Homes are expensive, food is expensive, hell, air is expensive. But I thank God that I am able to have my finances, and we all have it rough and hard times. So be nice if people be more understanding to think, to say like, hey, everybody ain't got it like that. So when you see people online and stuff, it's like, be mindful and don't think that, oh, everybody has it like that, because it's not, um, so that's what I was thinking. I was like, when we was talking about they want the man with the big hammer, and I'm like, God, no, not just the money. I understand the money because I think men should strive to provide for the woman, pay 100% of the bills, and let a woman rest in her femininity. I love that because I get that treatment, and I remember in my past relationships, like I could always see myself being the provider, but at times, even if I paid 70, 80%, I didn't really get as much of a feminine attitude or behavior from the woman I was dating at the time. Now I'm, more of doing, just paying for everything, and not just the bills in the house. It's like I'm okay with paying, everything, like just everything, attractions, trips, flights, whatever. So I'm okay with that. Now let's get back to this thing, because I'm just like, wallahi, this is this is crazy. Um, but yeah, so um, this is like, I went to the before I know I need to think. I'm always going over here, but coming back. So I went to the dry cleaners the other day, and I went to the dry cleaners, and a lady inside, older woman, she says to me, she said, something? She said, when I saw you, she said, when you had took off your sunglasses, you had looked like R. Kelly. I know some people already told you that before. And I said, huh. I said, yeah, I've gotten that before. She said, yeah. She said, now one thing, I don't want no attractive man. And I said, hmm. So she said, I want an ugly man. And I was like, wow. So she's like, I want an ugly man. And I was like, she said, well, then again, I want him too. I don't want no ugly man. So I just laughed at him, and I was just like, well, wow, he is crazy. I want to check and make sure I'm doing some things right. Where's this stuff at? I wanted to make sure I click on the little thing for, so I'm still learning how to use this stuff. But one thing I said, the more that I do it, that I need to do it, it's like I get comfortable, laugh, have a good time. That's what I want to make this like a fun, healthy show. We can come in when we could talk about relationships, and I could, kind of give advice. But back to this woman asking me, have this question to where she wants me to talk about intimacy and communication. And so this young lady, she's a Muslim woman, right? So let me give you a little, backstory. So this woman, she's a Muslim woman, right? So Muslim, we are not allowed to date, right? I know a lot of people say arranged marriage, but that is haram. That's prohibited. To just say, oh, you just forced to marry this person. No, you don't. We don't do that in Islam. What it is, you have introductions, right? So you could be introduced to your husband or wife, maybe once, twice, three times, with the knowledge of the family being involved, the involvement of the family. And, you can, meet each other once or twice and then, you marriage, prepare for marriage. Now, I think it's a good thing because I was looking at a video to kind of help me, like when I was doing my research for this. And in the video, the man I was looking at, Mufti Mink, right? He talks about Islam. He's able to speak on the subject, and I look at him, more of a scholar. So he was saying that, it's okay, and he thinks that. And I've heard another scholar, Newman Ali Khan. So they're both on YouTube. They're both YouTube content creators too, as well. Versus, and also preach Islam. So, well, I've watched both of their videos in the past couple of years, and it was saying that, most of the Muslim parents can be a little bit strict, and that we need to, like the parents need to, not be so naive and relax a little bit, because I imagine this young lady that's asking me to talk about intimacy, she's close to 30 years old, and maybe this point in her life, she's just doing what most women would like to do, is they start thinking about family, having children, because there was a study done by, I remember Dr. Jordan Peterson talked about this, on how, like, they did a study, and it was on women that were attorneys and doctors. And what they did was realize that these women, they would work 50 to 80 hours per week. But then when they got close to 30, they started, wanting to prioritize family. The only thing that happened as well is that these women, because they were making a lot of money, they're hypergamous, so they started, if they made $200,000-300,000, now they want a man bringing in that same income, which I could understand that, but I would also say hopefully they were very attractive women, because most men, attraction comes first as the beauty, is that, that physical attraction that men want, because even like with me, like when I select a woman, and if I'm going to take it real serious, I wonder sometimes, and I say, well, you know what, is this woman could I wake up seeing myself with her every morning? Am I okay with that, right, for the rest of my life, right? But I imagine this woman, she's close to 30 and want intimacy, but in Muslim culture and tradition, the families want to be involved in, the children's lives. And the young lady, we talked about this, and she said that she's declined a lot of offers. Her mom, her dad, and the friends of her mom and dad, they've introduced multiple men to her, but she declined. And I was like, well, you're 30 now. You ain't no little hot little thing, like you was when you 21, So, but what Newman Ali Khan and Mufti Mink was saying is that parents need to be a little bit relaxed, and the children, they need to go to their parents and tell their parents that, hey, I have met this guy, I take an interest in him, because parents need to not be so naive, because these women are going to, school, they're working on jobs with these men and women and interacting with each other. So, it's okay, but I think sometimes the women fear telling their parents what they're doing, it's being intimate with the young man, like maybe, they met a guy and doing things with him already, and then they're afraid that, the parents, what the parents may do, because I myself, I converted to Islam years ago, But what I noticed, I dated a good bit of Muslim women, right? And I noticed that um, I love it. I love it though because I like the fact that these women they know they're not supposed to be doing it, and even for me, like you know, but they know they're not supposed to be like intimate and doing things with a guy, right? And they'll like hide and do it behind the parents' back and things. I was like, nah, I might have to watch your ass, but I see what you do to your parents, but I know I have to watch it too. But I like the fact that like they're sneaking out and doing things with me, and I'm like, you risking your life for me. So I think that's funny and that's cute. So, so I see that the women do this, but then I think that in some point in time, they have to go and tell their parents that, hey, I met this gentleman and I would like to introduce him to you. Would it be okay if we did the introduction? And, because it's like, okay, you introduce and then you get married. There's no engagement. Like, instead of having an engagement is a way for you to be with a person for a little while and then the person can just up and leave. So I said, okay, I understand that too. And those are words from Mufti Mink. He said that engagement is like give the person a chance to, see if they like you, see what they dislike, and then eventually things. So, but even like when we're talking about these introductions into marriage, right? Versus just being intimate with someone. Like I've traveled to Dubai multiple times, and I remember a couple Uber drivers. One thing I like about Dubai is like the Uber drivers is like you mostly see the guys driving a white or black Lexus, so it's like you're riding in style a little bit, and it's like new. It's like old Lexuses, but it's new, but that's how it is over there. It's like some of their cars, it looks so like brand new right off the lot, but it's like an older model, but it's brand new over there. So, but anyway, one of the guys would say, we're talking about it, and he's like, "Oh, you Muslim, isn't it?" And I said, "Yes, sir, mashallah, mashallah, alhamdulillah." So eventually, one guy, I don't know his what religion he was, whether he was Hindu or whatever, but I believe he was either from India, but then it was another guy from Pakistan that told me the same thing, was saying, hey, when I married, I we did the family introduction. Like I talked to my wife on the phone and we went out another date for one date and we went walking somewhere, maybe got some ice cream, and then we got married. Now we've been married 30 30 something years. And I'm like, dang, I said, that's pretty good. But of course, it's like he's there in Dubai, but the wife in India or Pakistan, and then another guy was the same thing. It's like, yeah, I met my wife and, so and so. We only went out once and then we got married. And I was like, wow. Same thing. And I was like, wow. I said, well, why is your wife over there? Because I know women would want intimacy. And I'm thinking like over here. But I guess after so many years, it's like, so the guys, there's many men in Dubai that that do this, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan. God, I've met guys from Nepal, met guys from Africa. It's like most of them, they say, oh, we love Dubai. They love it. But it's like they get the money and then they send it back to their wife. So back to this thing about the arranged thing, I was like, well, maybe because I tried to probe the young lady to give me some information, but I think that's what it is that the fear of telling her parents that if she met a guy on her own and like him and bring him home, it's just like she can't tell them that. So I was like, okay, I understand. But it has to. She eventually has to tell them if she wants possibly that intimacy that she craves from a man that she desires, not from what her family issues. Even though some people have been successful to where the family chose a guy, right? Because it's like most women, I understand that they want a guy 6 feet tall, 6 inch hammer. They want the six, pack of abs and all that, and a man that make a lot of money. But you also need to select a man on his character. Um, and what else do I wanted to say? So I notice sometimes also when these women, when they go out with me, it's like sometimes like they're going behind their parents' back doing this, and it's like, the parents are very strict and protective of their children, and that's fine. Like some young ladies, they can't be out past Maghrib prayer, so when it gets dark or so, it's like they have to be in the house, or parents checking and calling like every 15 minutes to an hour. And I'm like, wow, sometimes even they have to get in video, get on a video call with their parents. I'm like, oof, that is tough. But eventually they have to face those fears, and if they want the intimacy and things that they crave from the opposite sex, men and women, because I've heard stories of some men. Matter of fact, I met someone at my rental property sometime last year, and the mother was telling me that her daughter um, dates a Muslim guy, but wants to um, meet the family and stuff like that, and she knows that they have to meet and get married. So the mom is open to it. The mom that lives in Cuban woman that's in Florida, her daughter met some guy from Africa. So that's a Muslim, so they like each other. So that's how that is. But you have to tell the parents, and I'm sure she's gonna watch this show because she's like, I can't wait to. I think I spoke to her yesterday or something. She's like, I can't wait to ask her if she had more things she would want me to discuss in the video. But this is why in some cases you talk about going out to eat and things with a woman. I mean, well, not going out to eat with a woman, but the women going and doing things behind their family back, and they seeing guys, and so I'm like I said, any woman that dates me, I would say, you can't have male friends, because I know that these guys that so-called your friends are just wanting to have their turn for like a relationship or whatever with you, whether it be casual or maybe, long term. And I know women, they like attention and stuff like that, but that's what they're using the men for, is like the attention being validated. But I always say no, because it's like if you go out with this guy and you going out to the shop, I was like, wait a minute, you think it's okay for you to talk to other men? And I'm thinking like, no, I have to tell them, say, hey, wait a minute now. Does your mom, does your dad allow your mother to go out with other men? That's how you handle that. Does your dad allow your mother to go out with other men? That'll shut that down right there. Because no, I was like, okay. Because the thing is, it's like when a woman is doing something with a man, that is an intimate act, right? Especially sitting down eating across from each other, that's an intimate. Even side by side is even more intimate. But when women are doing that with a man, that's an intimate act. And I'm like, no, you don't get to have male friends, And some women, they don't understand, or they don't know that, or it'll be a little bit naive to think that, oh, he's just a friend. That guy, he don't want me. Yeah, right. Okay. Just like I remember a couple months ago, a woman told me that there was a statistic that men think sexually about 19 times per day, and a woman thinks sexually about 11 times per day, you know? But yeah, let me look at this thing I'm trying to see. All right. So Now let's talk about what is intimacy. Intimacy refers to a close personal connection with someone characterized by mutual trust, emotional vulnerability, and physical closeness. Intimacy is vital for our emotional well-being and physical health. Um, when we experience intimacy, we release the hormone oxytocin, which is referred to as the love hormone. Right? So it promotes trust, uh, relaxation, and bonding. And there are um, four characteristics of intimacy. So we have emotional intimacy, which is the sharing thoughts and feelings with one another. And my example of this would be like when you're in a relationship, right? Like when you're in a relationship or so, or even if you're just getting to meet someone on a more personal level, it's like, I felt more connected to a woman whenever she shared her childhood experiences with me, or she told me some secrets that she hasn't told anyone, including like maybe her mom, dad, friends, and stuff like that. Um, so that is my example for the emotional intimacy, sharing, you know, your thoughts, your feelings. Uh, so that's what I have for that one. And physical intimacy is touch, holding hands, hugging, and sexual activity. Uh, Traveled to multiple Muslim countries. The only one I've seen a little bit relaxed maybe is when I was in Turkey, but it also depends how it depends on the person, I think too. But most Muslims, they don't do the PDA, public display of affection, right? Um, I don't necessarily see the man and the woman holding hands that often or kissing in public and stuff like that. I don't even think, uh, yeah, I don't see it. I don't see that. Um, but touching, holding hands, hugging for people that, depending on religious, maybe Christians or so, or whatever, Catholics, maybe, or people that are non-denomination. Um, that is a form of intimacy. Now, sexual activity is haram in Islam. This is why they say, okay, we do the introduction, and then you meet the man or woman, and then you get married. Because I would say the more you develop, um, the more you start sharing your feelings and doing things with someone, you're developing a relationship. And eventually, the more close you get, and of course, you're hugging, and next thing you know, you're kissing the thing, and then eventually, you could or would, commit zina, which is sin. Zina, which is sin. So that's that. But then it's haram. But you keep doing it, and you're getting close, and then you have the oxytocin levels, and the hormone, the love hormones, just feeling connected with a person. Eventually, you're going to give in. Remember, Eve made Adam bite that apple. So there you go. Intellectual intimacy, feelings stimulated by intellectual curiosity. So when I think about this, I think about times to where, like I've not, like I could be out most times, and I would notice that, let's say if I'm out with a young lady that interested in me or so, and I'm having a discussion with a gentleman or so, or a woman, and it's an intellectual conversation, and the person says, "Oh, yes, that's true. I agree," or "Man, that's right. Oh my God, you're intelligent. You're a smart guy." And my woman or whatever lady I have with me says, like, yeah, he is smart. Yes, he is intelligent. So I think that also arouses a woman because um, no, most women ain't want no dummies. So I remember even when I was in college, I would notice that when I sat in the front of the class, most women would be ready to say, "Hey, can I use your notes, or can I can you study with me?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah!" Excuse my language. Uh, so, yes, intellectual intimacy and spiritual intimacy is the fourth. Uh, just like I said, there's four levels of intimacy. So we have the emotional, the physical, intellectual, and spiritual. Intimacy is sharing beliefs, values, and practice um, with your partner. So when I thought about this, to give a good example of this, I I was at the airport and I saw this young lady, very beautiful young lady, and come to find out she's a Muslim woman. And we were talking about this, and I was telling her was starting YouTube content, and I said I would like her to eventually, you know, we had a nice conversation. I was like, I would like for you to be on my show one day, to come on. And we started talking. She was like, yes, I can tell you some stories, about my relationship, blah blah blah. And she's a Muslim woman, but I'm pretty sure she's doing whatever. If her family lives in one country, she's in the other. But I'm like, okay. So I noticed that she was having trouble because she's a Muslim, but the men that she was looking and dating, they didn't want to convert to Islam. And it made me, and the more she talked about a few things, it made me realize that even with myself, that like I like the Muslim practices and teachings. And I think at even this stage of my life, I think it would be difficult to try to be with a woman that isn't practicing Islam, right? Um, so the spiritual intimacy um, when selecting a partner, I think is important for men and women to select someone that shares the same values and beliefs, practice values and beliefs. I think this is overlooked sometimes because I never really thought of it until I was having this discussion at the airport. Okay. So intimacy helps reduce stress, depression, anxiety, while increasing our self-worth and confidence. Things that we could do to help in our relationships um, to have better communication and intimacy. We can practice active listening, not interrupting the person, having empathy, uh, being empathetic and understanding. The other thing that we could do is physical touch. Um, physical touch, hugging. You know, even Muslim, you can you know kiss the cheek, kiss this side cheek, kiss the other side of the face. Um, Hugs, okay. Be vulnerable and making quality time for dates. Like I asked, like a buddy of mine years ago. This was probably like 2011 or 12, and him and his wife have been together for like over 30 something years. And I was like, what do y'all do to like make it work? Even though, nothing is easy. But I asked him, I was like, what's one of the things that y'all do to make your relationship successful? And he said, what me and my wife do, he said that, and they have kids, they have two older sons now. But at the time, one of the sons, was in high school, the other one was in college. But he was saying that they make time for date nights. It's important to have date nights with your partner. So some men, I think, and I say men, but maybe it's the women too, because I'm one of those people. I try to be impartial. I'm not just going to talk about one side and be like, oh, yeah, let's go for this. No. I think, and I try to sit back and think and try to be impartial, not taking sides. But then eventually, once I've come to a conclusion, I'll be like, okay, well, this side is more, so I'm not one of those people to just be taking sides. But it also depends on, who, if the person's right, I'll be like, okay, you're wrong, or maybe if it's a close friend or something, maybe I'll let them act out, do their little thing, but then I'll come back when, not in public. We do it, a little bit when we get back together amongst each other, and I'll be like, hey, you were wrong, and not putting them on, blast on Front Street in front of everybody, whether it's the woman I'm with or a friend, right? But even me, I like to be around mostly women than men because it's like, you have to watch out for jealousy and envy and stuff like that. So I just enjoy, being around beautiful women. So